Olivia stood at the far end of the long glass boardroom table, her hands folded gently in front of her, her face calm in a way that made the entire room uneasy. The board members whispered among themselves, trying to understand why she had walked in with a single white envelope tucked under her arm. Her mother, Margaret, sat in the center chair looking proud and confident, while her sister, Pamela, rested comfortably in the seat that had already been prepared for her as the new heir. Pamela smirked and whispered, "She does not even know why she is here. Let her watch." Olivia said nothing. She simply placed the envelope on the table and waited. A lawyer in a navy suit stood quietly beside her, observing everything. The room felt heavy, as if the truth was already present, waiting to be revealed through her silence. Hours earlier, Olivia had stood in front of her mirror replaying the moment that changed her heart forever. It had happened at last year's gala, the one where her mother had introduced Pamela as the daughter with the real leadership potential. Pamela had laughed loudly and said, "Olivia is just here. She does not even understand the numbers." The crowd had chuckled politely, not realizing how the words cut through her like a blade. She remembered how her mother smiled and said, "Don't embarrass us, Olivia. Let your sister handle things." Olivia had swallowed her hurt and nodded, keeping her face composed. That was the night she felt something shift inside her. She stopped trying to explain her worth. She stopped begging for a place. She simply watched the people who claimed to love her treat her like a shadow in her own family. In the days that followed that public humiliation, Olivia began to move through the house like someone who was studying a puzzle instead of living inside it. She noticed how Pamela always spoke over her during meetings. She noticed how their mother praised Pamela for ideas Olivia had suggested first. She noticed how every document, every email, every conversation quietly positioned Pamela as the future, while Olivia was treated like an accessory. "You do not have the mind for leadership," Pamela would say with a soft, mocking voice. "Just stay in your lane, Liv." Olivia never argued. She simply observed the patterns forming around her, patterns that revealed a painful truth. They had already decided her value long before she ever had the chance to prove herself. And the more she watched, the quieter she became, because silence helps you see what noise tries to hide. The catalyst arrived on a quiet Tuesday afternoon. Olivia had stepped into the conference room early, hoping to review some reports before the weekly executives meeting. Instead, she heard voices through the slightly open door. Her mother said, "We will finalize Pamela as the heir next month. Olivia does not need to know until the announcement." Pamela laughed softly. "She will not question anything. He never does. She is slow with paperwork. She will sign whatever we put in front of her." Margaret added, "As long as she stays calm, things will go smoothly." Olivia froze. Her breath left her chest slowly, not from panic, but from a cold understanding settling deep inside her. She stepped back quietly, closed the door without a sound, and walked away. She did not cry. He did not confront them. She simply whispered to herself, "How I know." That evening, Olivia sat at her kitchen table with a cup of warm tea, and the discovery washed over her like quiet fire. She opened her laptop and began saving every document that had her signature, every board minute that mentioned her role, and every file connected to ownership structures. She backed everything up carefully. She printed essential papers and placed them inside a clean white envelope. She drafted a single-page statement with simple, direct words. She made no dramatic speeches, no long emotional texts, and no warnings to her mother or her sister. Her movements were slow and precise, like someone assembling a truth that would speak louder than any argument. When she finished, she looked at the envelope and whispered, "This is enough." Then she turned off the lights, packed her bag, and prepared for the morning that would change everything. The next morning, Olivia dressed in a simple navy dress and tied her hair back with quiet confidence. She looked nothing like someone preparing for a family battle. She looked like someone preparing for clarity. When she arrived at the office, Pamela strutted down the hallway holding a tablet and speaking loudly to anyone who would listen. "I will be handling the new expansion project soon," she bragged. "Mom says I'm finally stepping into my rightful place." When she saw Olivia, she pointed at her with a playful smirk. "Try not to look confused during the meeting today, okay?" Olivia simply replied, "Noted." Her tone was soft, steady, and unreadable. Pamela rolled her eyes, unaware that silence was no longer weakness. Olivia walked past her, each step deliberate, each breath calm, carrying the quiet certainty of someone who had already shifted the ground beneath them. During the executive's morning briefing, Olivia sat at the long oak table with her notebook open and her pen resting between her fingers. Pamela dominated the conversation, speaking over everyone, even correcting people who had not asked for her input. Margaret nodded proudly and said, "This is why Pamela is ready to lead." A few of the executives exchanged uncomfortable glances but stayed quiet out of respect for the family. When Margaret turned to Olivia and asked, "Do you have anything to add, dear?" Olivia shook her head gently. "Nothing at this time." Pamela chuckled. "Of course not." Olivia captured every tone, every expression, every assumption. She no longer felt hurt, she felt aware. She watched Pamela confuse arrogance for readiness, and watched their mother confuse silence for incompetence. Meanwhile, Olivia's envelope sat safely inside her bag, waiting for the exact moment it would change everything. By noon, the building buzzed with rumors that a formal announcement about the heir would be made soon. Pamela walked around like a queen in rehearsal, greeting employees with exaggerated confidence. "You all will be seeing more of me soon," she said, flipping her hair as if she were stepping onto a stage. Her friends congratulated her early. "You deserve it, Pam," one coworker insisted. "Olivia will understand." Pamela laughed. "She won't have a choice." Olivia overheard this while reviewing documents in the quiet corner office she rarely used. Instead of reacting, she simply closed the folder and whispered, "Let them talk." Her silence became her armor, and her stillness became her strategy. She felt no desire to defend herself or interrupt the show they were performing for the world. They had given her the gift of underestimation. She intended to use it. That afternoon, Olivia received an unexpected call from Mr. Coleman, the oldest board member, a man her mother believed was too traditional to matter. His voice was warm but serious. "I need to speak with you privately," he said. "I have something you should see." She met him in his quiet office overlooking the city skyline. He handed her a copy of the company's founding agreement, pointing to a highlighted section. "Your father added this clause before he passed. Leadership transfer must be approved by the board and supported by documented performance review, fairly conducted." Olivia blinked slowly. "They never told me this." Mr. Coleman smiled gently. "I know. But I have watched how you work, even when they overlook you." He placed a folder in front of her. "These are your performance records. They are strong. Very strong." Olivia breathed deeply. For the first time she felt seen. Olivia left Mr. Coleman's office with the folder pressed against her side like a quiet shield. As she walked down the hallway, everything around her felt different. Not louder, not brighter, but clearer. She understood now why her father had insisted on certain protections. He had known how easily favoritism could destroy a legacy. She stepped into the elevator and whispered, "Thank you, Dad." Inside the elevator, she reviewed her next steps mentally. He did not need to argue. He did not need to confront. She only needed to activate what already existed. When the doors opened, Pamela was waiting, tapping her foot impatiently. "Mom wants everyone in the main boardroom in 10 minutes, she announced. "Try to look presentable, Liv." Olivia smiled softly. "I will." Pamela didn't notice the calm power in her voice. She didn't see that Olivia's silence had turned into strategy. The boardroom filled slowly, each member taking their seat while Pamela stood near the head of the table smiling like she already owned the room. Margaret adjusted her blazer and whispered to her, "Today is your day. Stay confident." Pamela nodded proudly. When Olivia entered, her mother gave her a quick glance and said, "Sit anywhere." The dismissal was casual, but the sting was intentional. Olivia chose a seat near the opposite end of the table, her envelope resting gently in her lap. Mr. Coleman walked in last, giving Olivia a subtle nod that no one else noticed. Margaret cleared her throat. "As you all know, today we will finalize the leadership transition and introduce Pamela as the future heir." A few board members exchanged quiet looks, unsure if the process felt complete. Olivia kept her eyes on the table, her silence forming the strongest question in the room. Margaret stood tall, ready to begin her speech. "Pamela has demonstrated exceptional leadership," she declared proudly. "She understands the business, she has the right personality, and she carries herself with confidence. Pamela gave a modest smile that fooled no one. Then Margaret gestured toward Olivia. And Olivia will continue in her support role. She is helpful in her own way. Pamela leaned forward and added, yes, Olivia is great with small tasks. She keeps things organized even when she doesn't fully understand them. A few board members shifted uncomfortably, but neither Margaret nor Pamela noticed. Olivia remained still, every breath calm and steady. She did not look bothered. She did not defend herself. She simply watched them build a tower of arrogance brick by brick, unaware that a single document in her envelope would soon remove its foundation. Silence kept her invisible. Silence kept her powerful. Pamela clasped her hands dramatically. Before we vote, I want to thank everyone for believing in me, she said. I know I'm ready for this. Margaret added proudly, this is a natural progression. We know what is best for the company. Mr. Coleman cleared his throat gently. Before any confirmation, we must follow procedure. Pamela waved him off with a boastful laugh. Procedure is fine, Mr. Coleman. We all know where this is headed. Olivia's eyes lifted slightly. Pamela was so certain, so careless, so unaware that underestimation could turn into her downfall. Let's proceed, Margaret insisted. We do not need to prolong this. Pamela nodded eagerly. Exactly. Olivia can stay if she wants, but this does not concern her. Olivia folded her hands, allowing their words to echo around the room. She knew the moment for her quiet move was approaching. She waited, patient and calm. Mr. Coleman placed a folder on the table. Before we proceed, I want to remind everyone that leadership transfer requires board approval supported by documented performance. Margaret stiffened. We have handled that internally. Mr. Coleman shook his head gently. The records must be reviewed by the full board. That is the clause. Pamela rolled her eyes. We do not need old rules slowing progress. His voice remained steady. The rules protect fairness. He turned to Olivia. Do you have anything to submit before we vote? The room froze. Pamela laughed quietly. Submit. Olivia. Margaret sighed impatiently. She has nothing to offer. Olivia lifted the envelope from her lap, her fingers brushing the edge with soft precision. I do, she said calmly. Pamela blinked, surprised. Margaret frowned. The board members leaned forward. The envelope, simple and silent, drew every eye. Olivia placed it on the table gently and waited. The room fell into a stillness that felt almost sacred. Pamela tried to regain control of the moment. What is that? Are you trying to make this dramatic? Olivia shook her head softly. No. Just clear. Margaret's voice sharpened. Olivia, do not embarrass yourself. But Olivia remained unmoved. Mr. Coleman opened the envelope and slid out the documents. Performance records, board minutes, and a copy of the clause her father had added. He examined them with slow, deliberate care. Pamela whispered harshly, How did she get that? Margaret hissed, Someone must have misinformed her. Mr. Coleman lifted a page. These records show Olivia exceeds performance expectations in every category. The room shifted instantly. Pamela's smirk faltered. Margaret's confidence cracked. Olivia remained silent, her calm presence louder than their shock. The power balance had changed, not through force but through truth delivered gently. Pamela leaned forward, her voice shaking. These documents must be outdated. I have been doing the real work. Mr. Coleman shook his head. These records are current and signed by all department heads. Pamela looked toward her mother desperately. Say something. Margaret forced a smile. Pamela is still the best choice. She has the personality for leadership. A board member cleared her throat. Leadership is not about personality. It's about performance, fairness, and accountability. Pamela's jaw tightened. So now Olivia is suddenly qualified? No one answered. Olivia didn't need to speak. Her silence became a mirror reflecting Pamela's insecurity back at her. Mr. Coleman placed the final document in the center of the table. According to the clause, any heir must demonstrate clear capability. At this moment, based on evidence, Olivia meets the requirement. Pamela does not. Pamela's face paled. Margaret's composure trembled. Truth had entered the room. A tense quiet wrapped the boardroom. Pamela's voice cracked as she tried to regain control. This is ridiculous. You all know me. You know I'm the one who fits the image. Another board member responded gently, Image does not run a company. Margaret lifted her chin. We can review this privately later. Mr. Coleman shook his head again. This meeting is official. The decision must be transparent. Pamela turned to Olivia with anger rising in her eyes. You planned this. You waited to embarrass us. Olivia met her gaze calmly. I planned nothing. I simply followed the rules. Margaret gasped softly, offended by the quiet tone. Pamela slammed her hand lightly on the table. You should have talked to us first. Olivia blinked slowly. You made your decisions without me. Her voice carried no heat, no bitterness, only truth. And the truth weakened the room around them. Margaret tried one last tactic. Olivia, we are a family. We did our best with the information we had. It was a guilt trap layered in softness. Olivia responded with a single steady sentence. Leaving me out was a choice, not a mistake. The board murmured in agreement. Pamela shook her head violently. So what now? You think you should be heir? Olivia folded her hands. That is for the board to decide, not me. Her humility stunned several members. Mr. Coleman addressed the room. We will take a vote. Pamela's breathing quickened. Wait, no, we can fix this. Just give us time. Another board member replied, We cannot delay truth. Pamela looked at her mother helplessly, but Margaret had lost her authority. Olivia remained quiet, her calm presence guiding the moment more than any argument could. Silence had become her strongest leadership skill. The vote was simple, private, unemotional. Board members wrote their decisions on slips of paper and placed them into a small wooden box that had belonged to Olivia's father. Pamela watched with trembling hands. Margaret tried to maintain her dignity, but her eyes betrayed deep worry. Olivia kept her gaze lowered, tracing the grain of the table with her fingertips, steady and unbothered. When the final slip was placed inside, Mr. Coleman opened the box and read each vote carefully. His voice held no triumph, only clarity. The board has voted against appointing Pamela as heir. Pamela gasped, covering her mouth. Margaret shook her head in disbelief. Olivia did not move. Not a smile. Not a sigh. Just stillness. Mr. Coleman continued. The board recommends Olivia for interim leadership review. Pamela's chair scraped loudly as she pushed back. This cannot be happening. But it was. The silence that followed felt heavier than any scream. Margaret tried to speak, but her voice cracked. Olivia, please, don't do this. Olivia lifted her eyes gently. I didn't do anything. Pamela whispered, You are destroying us. Olivia shook her head softly. No, I am simply refusing to disappear. The room absorbed her words like a final verdict. She rose from her chair slowly, gathering her envelope even though it no longer needed to say anything. Mr. Coleman gave her a respectful nod. Your father would be proud of your integrity. Pamela burst into quiet, angry tears, not because Olivia attacked, but because Olivia never fought at all. Margaret reached for her hand. We can fix this as a family. Olivia stepped back. I'm done proving I belong. Then she walked out of the boardroom without raising her voice. Her silence echoed long after the door closed. When Olivia stepped into the hallway, the air felt different, lighter, as if something that once pressed against her chest had finally lifted. She did not rush. She walked with slow, steady steps, holding her envelope like a quiet reminder of the truth that had spoken for her. Employees watched her pass, sensing something important had happened behind those boardroom doors. One woman whispered, She looks peaceful. Another murmured, Something shifted today. Olivia offered no explanations, no statements, no attempts to control the narrative. She simply moved toward the elevator, allowing the building to witness her calm. As the doors opened, a receptionist approached her nervously. Ms. Olivia, do you need anything? Olivia smiled gently. No, thank you. The elevator doors closed and the silence wrapped around her like a soft shield. She was no longer the overlooked daughter walking behind others. She was someone walking into herself. Inside the elevator, Olivia exhaled slowly, releasing the weight she had carried for years. She pressed the button for the lobby and leaned against the glass panel, watching the floors glide past. Her phone buzzed with messages. First from Pamela, then from her mother, then from unknown numbers asking what had happened. She did not open any of them. She did not owe explanations. When the doors opened to the lobby, sunlight poured through the tall windows, washing her in warm gold. A security guard who had known her since childhood approached quietly. "You all right, Miss Liv?" he asked gently. She nodded. "I'm better than I've ever been." He smiled, sensing the truth in her voice. She stepped outside, letting the warm breeze hit her face. The city moved around her, unaware that she had just changed the course of her entire life without raising her voice once. Pamela burst out of the boardroom minutes later, rushing after Olivia with shaky steps. "Liv!" she shouted down the hallway, the panic sharp in her voice. But Olivia was already outside the building, far beyond the sound of her desperation. Pamela stopped at the entrance, gripping the doorframe as if it could steady her collapsing world. "This isn't fair," she whispered to herself. Margaret joined her seconds later, her expression tight and bewildered. "Where is she?" Pamela shook her head. "She walked away." Margaret scoffed. "Of course she did. She always runs." But deep down, neither woman believed that. They sensed the truth. Olivia hadn't run. She had risen. Her silence had flipped the room, and now they were standing in the aftermath. Nearby employees kept their distance, unsure of what to say. Pamela wiped her eyes and whispered, "What do we do now?" Margaret had no answer. While the building buzzed with confusion, Olivia walked down the city sidewalk with a quiet heaviness that didn't feel like sadness. It felt like release. She passed a small cafe she used to visit alone and stepped inside. The barista recognized her and said, "The usual?" Olivia nodded with a soft smile. She sat by the window, letting the warm cup rest between her hands. For the first time in years, her thoughts were not tangled. She did not worry about how to please her mother. She did not rehearse conversations in her head. She simply existed. When her phone buzzed again, she placed it face down on the table. A pair of older women sitting nearby whispered about family scandals they heard employees discussing. Olivia didn't interrupt or correct them. This moment wasn't about them. It wasn't even about Pamela or Margaret. It was about her reclaiming her peace. Back at the boardroom, Mr. Coleman gathered his papers with quiet disappointment. "This could have been handled with dignity," he murmured. Another board member nodded. "They underestimated the wrong daughter." Margaret stood stiffly, refusing to sit down. "This vote will not stand. I will appeal it." But her voice carried more fear than authority. Mr. Coleman shook his head gently. "Appeals do not erase evidence. And evidence spoke today." Pamela's eyes were red from crying. What if the board chooses Olivia permanently? Margaret avoided the question. "We will talk to her later," she said weakly. "Maybe she will step aside." Several board members exchanged doubtful looks. They had seen the silent strength Olivia carried. They knew she was no longer the daughter who simply accepted whatever role she was given. Margaret tried to gather her thoughts, but everything she had built for Pamela was slipping through her hands. Pamela slumped into a chair, wiping her face. "Mom, why didn't you prepare for this? Didn't you check the clause?" Margaret stiffened. "Your father added it. He always made things difficult." Pamela scoffed bitterly. "So this is Dad's fault now?" Margaret ignored her and paced the room. She must have found something. Someone gave her those documents. Pamela froze. "Do you think the board prefers her?" Margaret hesitated too long before saying, "No, they just don't know you well enough." Pamela felt the truth sting. Margaret always relied on appearance, confidence, loud leadership, things Pamela excelled in. But today had shown that the company valued something deeper. Pamela slammed her palm onto the table. "This isn't over." Yet even as she said it, she felt the ground slipping beneath her feet. Quiet competence had defeated loud confidence. And Pamela had never prepared for that type of battle. Olivia finished her tea, left a small tip, and stepped outside again. The breeze felt cooler now, brushing softly against her face. She walked toward a nearby park and sat on a bench beneath a tall oak tree. Families played on the grass, couples strolled by holding hands, and teenagers laughed loudly as they passed. The world was moving, unaware that her life had just changed. She watched the sky through the branches and whispered, "I don't need their approval anymore." The words felt strange at first, strong but unfamiliar. For years she'd built her identity around making her mother proud and staying out of Pamela's way. But today had broken that cycle. Today had shown her she had a voice even when she didn't speak. She breathed deeply, letting the calm settle into her bones. Silence, she realized, was not emptiness. Silence was strength. Across the city, Margaret retreated into her private office and locked the door. She needed space to think. She needed to understand how everything had flipped in a matter of minutes. She opened her laptop and reviewed Pamela's performance reports, the ones she had carefully edited and smoothed over. They looked thinner than she remembered, less impressive, less convincing. She scrolled through Olivia's untouched files and felt a knot form in her chest. They were strong. They were thorough. They showed consistency and quiet discipline. Margaret whispered, "How did I miss this?" But deep down she knew. He had never looked. She had assumed Pamela's confidence was competence. And she had assumed Olivia's silence was weakness. Now the truth stood before her, undeniable and sharp. She closed the laptop slowly. For the first time she wondered if she had chosen the wrong daughter for the wrong reasons. Pamela left the boardroom and wandered through the corridor like someone searching for a door that no longer existed. She checked her phone. No messages from Olivia, no reassurance, no explanation. "She thinks she's better than me now," Pamela muttered under her breath. But the bitterness tasted hollow. She remembered all the times she pushed Olivia aside, mocked her, dismissed her ideas. She remembered the gala, the jokes, the careless comments she believed Olivia never heard. She had always assumed Olivia's silence meant she wasn't paying attention. Now she realized Olivia had seen everything, remembered everything, and quietly risen above it. Pamela leaned against the wall, fighting tears. "I should talk to her," she whispered. But even she knew the truth. Olivia didn't need that conversation anymore. And Pamela didn't know how to apologize without expecting something in return. For once she felt completely powerless. As the afternoon light softened, Olivia rose from the park bench and began walking toward home. She took the long route, letting the quiet streets guide her thoughts. Her phone buzzed again, this time with a voicemail from her mother. She didn't listen. She wasn't ready to hear excuses or guilt or promises wrapped in disappointment. When she reached her apartment door, she paused and looked back at the city skyline, her father's company glowing in the distance. She whispered, "I am enough." Then she walked inside, placed the envelope on her table, and sat on her couch with a calm heart. No shouting. No celebration. No rush to claim victory. Her revenge had already happened, not through anger but through truth. And somewhere across the city, Pamela and Margaret were finally feeling the consequences of choices they once believed Olivia was too weak to challenge. That evening, Olivia prepared a small dinner for herself. Nothing complicated, just warm pasta and soft bread. The quiet in her apartment felt comforting instead of lonely. She lit a candle and let the gentle flicker loosen the tension still lingering in her shoulders. Her phone vibrated again, this time with a message from a board member. "We support you if you choose to move forward." She smiled faintly. She didn't respond. She wasn't chasing leadership. She was reclaiming self-respect. As she ate, she remembered moments from childhood. Margaret praising Pamela for the smallest effort while ignoring Olivia's quiet successes. For the first time, those memories didn't sting. They felt distant, like stories that belonged to someone else. After dinner, she washed her dishes slowly, letting the warm water run over her hands. The silence surrounding her was not emptiness. It was healing. Across the city, Pamela curled on her bed, hugging a pillow tightly, replaying the boardroom humiliation over and over. "How did she do it?" she whispered. "How did she beat me without fighting?" She reached for her phone and scrolled through old photos. Family vacations, holidays, birthdays. In every image, Pamela stood center stage, smiling brightly, while Olivia hovered at the edge of the frame, partially cut off or unnoticed. Pamela swallowed hard. He had never cared about balance. She had only cared about winning. And now everything she thought belonged to her had slipped away with a single envelope. She dialed Olivia's number, hesitated, then hung up before it rang. She wasn't ready to be honest. She wasn't ready to admit she had contributed to her own downfall. Pamela buried her face in her pillow, quietly grieving the identity she thought she deserved. Margaret paced her living room with restless energy, replaying the day in her mind. Her pride had always been rooted in Pamela's loud confidence. But today she had seen a different truth. She opened a photo album her husband had kept, one filled with notes and comments about their daughter's progress. On one page, Olivia's name appeared with a small handwritten line from him. Quiet, steady, dependable. Strong mind. Strong heart. Margaret ran her finger over the words slowly, tears welling in her eyes. She had never noticed how deeply her husband believed in Olivia. Had she ignored the wrong child? Had she pushed Pamela too hard and Olivia too far away? She sat down heavily on the couch. "I failed her," she whispered. For the first time, Margaret understood that this loss was not about leadership. It was about a daughter she had never truly seen. The next morning, Olivia woke early and stepped onto her balcony with a warm cup of tea. The sunrise painted the sky in soft shades of orange and pink. She breathed in deeply, letting the fresh morning air fill her chest. She didn't check her phone. She didn't rush to answer messages. She simply watched the city wake up. A soft knock came at her door, but she didn't move immediately. She finished her tea first. When she opened the door, Mr. Coleman stood there with a gentle smile. "I wanted to check on you," he said. "Yesterday was heavy." Olivia stepped aside so he could enter. "I'm all right," she replied. "Just thinking." He nodded. "The board is ready to support whatever path you choose. Interim leadership. Permanent review. Even stepping back entirely." Olivia appreciated the freedom in his tone. For once, she wasn't being pushed. She was being offered. They sat at her kitchen table while sunlight pooled across the floor. Mr. Coleman folded his hands. "Your father always believed fairness should guide this company. Yesterday honored that." Olivia looked down at her tea. "I don't want to take anything from Pamela." Mr. Coleman smiled softly. "You didn't. The board made its decision based on truth, not favoritism." Olivia sighed. "I just want peace." He nodded. "Then choose the role that brings you peace. Not the role others expect." The simplicity of his words settled in her heart. For years she had molded herself around her mother's expectations. Now she didn't have to. When he left, Olivia stood by the window, letting his words echo gently in her mind. Peace was not weakness. Peace was direction. And for the first time she allowed herself to imagine a future shaped entirely by her own choices. Later that day, Pamela arrived at Olivia's building, standing outside nervously. She pressed the buzzer once, twice, then stepped back. Her voice cracked through the speaker. "Olivia, I know you're home. Can we talk? Please." Olivia stood inside her apartment, listening to the trembling in Pamela's tone. A younger version of herself would have rushed to open the door, desperate to maintain peace. But today she simply held her hands together and closed her eyes. Pamela continued, I shouldn't have said those things. I shouldn't have treated you the way I did. Mom didn't mean to hurt you either." The old guilt tried to rise in Olivia's chest, but it faded quickly. She pressed the button and spoke with calm clarity. "I'm not ready to talk." Pamela inhaled sharply. "So you're punishing me?" Olivia replied, soft but steady. "No. I'm choosing space." Then she released the buzzer. Pamela stepped back from the building, stunned. No yelling. No insults. No dramatic confrontation. Just distance, quiet, controlled, intentional. "She's really changed," Pamela whispered. She walked toward her car slowly, tears forming again. She had expected a fight, something loud enough to make her feel justified or defensive. Instead, Olivia's gentleness felt sharper than any argument. Pamela sat behind the wheel and stared at her hands. "Maybe I deserved this," she whispered. Across town, Margaret sat alone in her office trying to write an apology text but deleting it every time. She didn't know how to reach a daughter she had spent years silencing. Olivia's refusal to engage had created a boundary neither woman knew how to cross. For the first time in their lives, Pamela and Margaret were forced to sit with themselves, and the quiet felt louder than any judgment Olivia could have expressed. Meanwhile, Olivia spent the afternoon reviewing her options. She read through the board documents slowly, considering the weight of each path. Her laptop chimed with another message from the board. "Take your time. We believe in your leadership." She exhaled deeply. Leadership was not the revenge. Clarity was. Truth was. She didn't crave titles, she craved fairness. She drafted a short reply. "I will participate in the interim review." No long-term decisions yet. Simple, clear, balanced. When she hit send, she felt no rush of triumph. Just calm alignment with her own values. She closed the laptop and sat on her couch with a soft throw blanket over her legs. She whispered, "This is enough." And it was. For the first time, she wasn't trying to prove anything. Not to Pamela, not to Margaret, not even to the company. She was choosing herself. That evening, Margaret finally worked up the courage to call. Olivia stared at the screen as it rang, her face emotionless. When the call ended without her answering, a long message arrived. "Olivia, I'm sorry. I didn't see your strength. I didn't see your work. Please let me fix this. Please talk to me." Olivia read every word, then placed the phone face down. She didn't delete the message and she didn't respond. She simply let it sit untouched. Her silence wasn't revenge. It was a boundary. A promise to herself that she would no longer shrink for anyone. Across the city, Margaret sat alone in her living room, staring at her phone. She whispered, "She doesn't need me anymore." And for the first time she understood the pain of being underestimated. Olivia hadn't struck back. Olivia had simply walked away. And that was the deepest consequence of all. Days later, Olivia walked into the company building again. Not as the overlooked daughter, not as the quiet shadow behind Pamela, but as a woman standing firmly in her own steadiness. Workers greeted her with respect, genuine and calm. She entered the boardroom with no envelope this time, just clarity. Mr. Coleman smiled. "Ready?" She nodded. "Ready." Across the table, an empty seat marked where Pamela was supposed to be. She hadn't shown up. Margaret had stepped down temporarily, claiming she needed time. Their absence said everything. Olivia took her place at the table, but she didn't sit in the head seat. She chose a regular one, because power wasn't the point. Peace was. As the meeting began, she breathed in, slow and full. Her life had shifted quietly, truthfully, without violence or chaos. And she had risen not by shouting but by refusing to disappear. Her silence had spoken for her, and the world had finally listened.